Well, I got that Jonathan Seagull book, read it like in an hour and a half.
I know, right?
Just sat in my bed and read it. It was really cool. I looked up the guy and I tried to like get a little background information about him. But yeah, it was really enjoyable. Uh,
Now, reading that book with the knowledge that Kobe told, said like that's the book that he
right.
loves. Like, doesn't it make a lot of sense? Like looking into his mindset.
Absolutely. Just like he wasn't afraid to stand out. He just reading Jonathan Siegel is like he just loved to fly. He didn't
Hmm.
care about eating, he didn't care about sleeping, he didn't care about anything. He just loved the concept of flight and how to just push it to the boundaries.
Yep.
And you think of Kobe like at 4 in the morning, getting up, hitting the Staples Center, wherever he was working. I was like, he just loved basketball. He just loved the idea of how can I take this to flight? How can I take this to the next level? And then like, you have the squawkers of like, dude, what's
Yeah.
this guy doing? What's he, and you have all that pressure of like conformity. And he's just like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll get banished before I give in. And even maybe you could talk to this, but like he tried to then conform. Like he's like, okay, fine, I'm done with this. Like I just want to be a part of the flock. And before he can even fly back, I mean, inside something just said,
You
no,
just knew.
you don't fit in with that.
Yeah.
So that was
And
cool.
then I love the end of it where like he kind of like ascended to that next level. And
Hmm.
then they were finding other seagulls that maybe like flight wasn't their thing, but there's one that liked to do a bunch of different kind of tricks. And it was just like
Hmm.
whatever that passion is, like keep working on it until you reach perfection.
Yeah. Yep. And I love when he did ascend to that next level, the mentor, how willing that mentor was to take him under his wing, so to speak,
Hmm.
no pun intended, and teach him. And it was that he was hungry and he was willing to learn, right? He had that heart. He was hungry to learn, and just that humility. When you have that humility, what doors that can open to you of learning that next level. I mean, so many athletes, right? It's like, I got this. I got this. No, I know,
Hmm.
coach. I know. It's like the two worst words you could say to coaches. I know.
Yeah.
Well, you're not doing what I'm asking you to do. I know how to do it. Well, then show me, right? Some of the athletes that I just love the mental game, it's just that they're so hungry to learn and they've reached that next level. And they do it
Hmm.
so quickly because the mental game is such a powerful thing, right? Like I think we've talked about, if I put you on a 6 week program, we're going to see some gains, but it's going to take a while, right?
Yeah.
But like just even a thought, like we'll talk about today, if you take one good thought away, all of a sudden my game can improve immensely from one moment.
Hmm.
So it blew me away. So that's cool. Thanks for sharing that with me. Any other thoughts that you had in regards to that book?
Um, I just I just thought that it was incredible, the pursuit of perfection. Now, we will never get there. Like we'll never
Hmm.
be perfect in anything, but that relentless pursuit of it
Hmm.
and just falling in love with the process and the accolades and everything else come secondary. But like when you put in that much work, like way Kobe Bryant did, if you work that hard for that many years of your life, it's inevitable that you
Right.
will end up being that great just because like you put in all that time.
Hmm. Absolutely. And when he had that mentor and how easy that mentor made everything look. And not only was like this Jonathan Siegel thought he had like reached some really high level, but then when he got that new body, and we can relate that to an athlete as they grow and develop into a new, better body, how many
Hmm.
more doors that opens for them, how easy things then become. Because we watch a Kobe, we watch a Michael, and how graceful they do these things. Like, oh, I could do that. Well, then you go out and try it. Like, what the heck? How did they do that? And
Yeah.
so that's what happens when that mentor shows them how to like basically be in one place and then all of a sudden blink and you're in
Just
another place, right? And like he just sat there and sat there and sat there and worked on it for so long. And at one point he finally did it after a long time. And then the other seagull's like, whoa, how'd you do that? And it didn't just happen like that, right? The
hmm
mentor, he made it look so easy, but then it took him a long time to work on it. So I think that's important for athletes today, where we live in that microwave society, right? Where it's like, give it to me now, give it to me now, instead of like, hey, I got to work at this. I've seen it, it's possible, because if I've seen it, I can do it. At
hmm
some point I just got to sit there and work it and work, and at some point, wow, all of a sudden it becomes easy. So I think that's a really great lesson for kids today,
Yeah.
or any athlete really.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like
yeah.
you always see like that next level, like in high school, you think you're really good until you get to college and you see
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this is what really good looks like. And then you get to being like really good in college. And then you get to the NFL and you're like, oh, shoot, there's a
Mm-hmm.
whole different level of greatness. And there's
Right.
always that next step up.
Right. For you, when you were in high school and you were recruited, I think you had signed with Washington State or something, and then walked away from that and went to Miami.
Mm.
Was it a bigger jump, just life and seeing the greatness? Was it a bigger jump from high school to Miami, or from Miami to the pros?
High school to Miami for sure. I think Miami prepared me for the pros just because in the ACC, a lot of the guys that were on my team ended up playing in the NFL, and a lot of the guys I was playing against were in the NFL. But going from high school to Miami, where at 6'5", I was the biggest, like one of the biggest guys in the state, or not state, but in the city.
Sure.
And so then when I get to Miami and I'm in the huddle and I'm average height, we have like our tackles are like 6'7", and like everybody's 6'5" in college.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just that realization that you're gonna have to bring a lot more to the table than just height and just being bigger than everybody. You have to learn some technique and bring these, like really focus on the fundamentals at this level.
Absolutely.